Yo guys, welcome back to another video, and yeah, as you can see by the title, we did get like 508 billion damage in this tournament strat. Will be the initial strat for this week, and yeah, it's just a very good standard, I would say, for this week. Considering the update is soon, so I didn't want to like spend too much time on it, so I did spend a good amount of time, but I think it can be slightly better, of course. If you see the run, you know what I mean. But yeah, pretty much you can see this is the team we are running. Luffy, Ainz, Uma, Astolfo, what's the guy's name? Finon and Sunjin Woo. And yeah, pretty much is the team slot. Let me just place it into like a random team slot. So yeah, as you can see, we got Luffy. I'm running this burb on him right here with, of course, his own Vanguard Memorial with Divinity. And then for Ainz, I am running this burb right here, and of course, Peak of Shinobi. For Uma, I am running this burb right here. Of course, this one can be a lot better, but I gave the better burb to Finon right here, as you can see. And then I'm running Beast King Divinity with Uma. And then for Stolfo, I'm running a Fu plus the Unlikely Doctor. I don't know why I did not have the Jack of All one on her, but I mean him, but it doesn't really matter since you have a lot of yen. So I guess the extra damage, even though it's not a lot, maybe it helps. Won't really be attacking too many enemies, so it's fine. And then of course I find you start using this burb right here. Blast damage, a lot of crit damage, and a lot of range. And crit chance. And then running his own Memorial with Divinity. I mean, with Deadeye. And then for Sanjiru, I'm running Deadeye Sanjiru. Deadeye is important. I've seen a lot of people. I know a lot of people who have Monarch and they will say, oh, can I run Monarch with Vanguard Sanjiru? But it won't be enough. And then, yeah, of course, this Burb Rahim. Rahim? What? English is not Englishing. This Burb right here to give him, of course, crit damage and crit chance. And of course, ideally, you want positive damage because, as you guys do know, the higher his damage stat, the less mana he uses to spawn in summons. And you can see the Beast King with Deadeye for him, so he has higher crit damage and higher crit chance. And yeah, there's no caloric stone unit because I am going to be using Ouroboros to rewrite the wave to wave 46 when it hits wave 49. So this is the team we are running, and let's just get into the video. Alright, so pretty much I would say the first, I mean, I want to say the first. Like, most of the strat is like pretty simple. I'd say wave 40 boss, you need to focus. I'll just say wave 40 onwards, you need to like fully focus. And then like wave 20 to I guess wave 15 to wave 30 is like semi-focused. You'll see what I mean. But you want to get down your hull skills very early on, of course, at wave 1. Set her mood to great and then put 2 stats in, and from there you're putting singular stats into each one of them. And you can see at the bottom right, I do have my iron spells there for you. So pretty much Aura of the Overlord, and of course create Greater Undead. So as you can see, look, Aura of the Overlord, and of course create Greater Undead. Yeah, that's pretty much all you're going to be using for irons. And yeah, we are going to be using his rewrite the wave to wave 46 when it hits wave 49. You'll see what I mean. But it's just to make sure we can, of course, delay our death. Because if you don't rewrite the waves at all, you'll pretty much just die to the wave 50 boss at wave 56. So if you rewrite the wave, you can pretty much like, if you do 3 waves, it pretty much like eats up that time and you pretty much die to the boss exactly towards the end. The last like 5 seconds, so it's like perfectly timed. But yeah, very early on, you don't have to place Luffy at all. And you don't even have to place Finon. It's just going to be very simple. We're letting our Uma and of course our... I think I'm going to place Luffy soon though, because I get our stuff for down as well, of course. But yeah, I get Luffy down and I instantly switch him to Cog 4. The reason for this is because, as you do know, Cog 5 applies Nullify on hit whenever he crits. So yeah, we just want to make sure that he's not critting. Well, he's not really in Cog 5 because he will be applying Nullify. And if he applies Nullify to like a group of enemies, they just can't revitalize at all. And the whole purpose of this strat is just to regen form at all times. But yeah, you can see that we're not really doing much. I'm gonna place Final at this point right now, just to, of course, have him as our safety net. Because what we're gonna be doing is pretty much letting all the enemies get to, like, you see the bend where that Iron Summon just passed. I mean, I can't really show it, but like, pretty much gonna get all the enemies to a certain point and just start Final nuking, just to let them regen farm. But yeah, as you can see at this point, we're going to be using Final's nukes slowly but surely. So whenever he does get his stacks in, we'll use the nuke and you can see how much enemies it does clear. And ideally, this is like, I'd say it's like not really ideal because you don't want to be clearing that many enemies at once. You want them to be slowly dying. So like the enemies around them, of course, getting health back from Revitalize and of course just keeping the enemies alive. So yeah, that part was kind of like not ideal, but what we're going to be doing is pretty much getting Luffy up to max upgrade. And since he is a full AoE, he's not going to really be doing much damage because as you do know, a lot of these enemies do have resilience, and as you guys do know how that works, it's like based on like the AoE and how much enemies they hit at once. So it won't really be much damage from Luffy. So even with wind up, I'm pretty sure he's doing like 300 million per hit, which is not crazy, but considering he's like hitting like basically the whole map. So yeah, Luffy just gonna be there just to apply some damage. It won't be a crazy amount, but of course later on, when we go to Gear 5, will be helping a lot. But yeah, you can see how much damage Luffy is doing with wind up, doing roughly like, was it 89 million? Which is kind of crazy. Of course, it's not gonna be a lot of damage. You can see each time like 4.16 billion to how much? Well, it's a lot more there, but like, it's not really that consistent. Especially at later waves. But yeah, we're gonna get our Snowfall buff onto these Vanguard Sanjurus, just so they can get, of course, slightly more range and, of course, slightly more damage. And I did explain it shortly earlier, but pretty much, my bad, I had to just burp. But yeah, pretty much, what I was saying was that with Vanguard Sanjuru, let's say his damage stat is a large difference compared to the enemy he's killing, or the enemy that has died. He won't really, he will waste a lot more mana summoning them. But of course, if his damage stat is like a lot closer to their health bar or their HP, he will summon like a lot more, like use less mana to summon. And that's pretty much why you wanna, of course, upgrade his Vanguard Sanjuru and also give him as many buffers as you can give him, because it'll get his damage stat as high as possible. And you'll see what I'm doing with Finon. What I'm doing is just making sure I get a few upgrades in here and there, just so he's clearing the waves. And for Vanguard Sanjuru, you see I got them all to upgrade 3, so they have slightly a higher damage stat, and it allows them to, of course, summon like 2 to 3 summons each time instead of 1, which is very helpful for a boss like this because all our units are not going to be maxed out. We're trying to keep them as weak as possible because we don't want to insta-kill these enemies. You see all these enemies, and we need them because they need to proc the Revitalize for each of the enemies around them. So they can all, of course, like, regen and get more damage out of them. And here I get Final to upgrade with a 5. And yeah, he, of course, at this point is doing a bit too much damage. So I'll say leave him at upgrade 4 if you can. And you can see the summons should just kill this guy off. And I'll say if you have struggle with the wave 20 boss, what I would say is, of course, you can use your Luffy. So you can legit switch to Cog 5 and go into the form and just kill that boss. He's a 200 million boss, so your Luffy hits could be so easy to kill him. Oh yeah, I mentioned something in the intro saying that this damage stat or the score could be a lot higher, and pretty much the reason why is because I was forced to use my Ein's nuke a bit earlier than I wanted to. I was even forced. I used it thinking I'll die, but what's his name? Final's nuke came in and cleared the enemies, and I just wasted it a bit too early. Ideally, if you can, you want to be surviving until, well, the last few seconds, and that's when you use your Ein's nuke. But if you have to use it before, that's fine. But yeah, at this point, the wave 30 boss, even though it's like 600 mil HP, it should be very easy as well. So you can see we still have a lot of enemies on the map, so that's what we're trying to do, just keep as many enemies as possible. You want to be ideally at like always a 120 to 140 enemy count. If you're going below that, you're kind of messing up. Of course, when Final does nuke, it drops it by like 30 to 40, but that's because the apostles are going to be the ones living, and of course the skeletons and like the other ones are going to be dying quicker, since they are the weaker ones. But you can see at this point what I'm going to be doing is switching between Cog 4 and Cog 5. Pretty much what that does is it gives a Cog 4 a lot more range. You can see like 143 range, because of course once you go into Cog 5 it takes that base range and then it basically also does the 50% more range from of course the wind up. I think I'm pretty sure that is a bug, but you know what, it makes no difference because Cog 4's damage is not really that much. I don't really think it affects much, so hopefully no silly ass bug hunter reports that, because I'm pretty sure that is a bug, but who cares, you know what I mean? It genuinely does nothing for the game, like it's not game breaking at all. But yeah, at this point you want to be auto upgrading your Sanjaroos. You want to get them to like, of course, upgrade 10 as a minimum, and then later on once you have a small spare yen you can get them to max. And yeah, around like wave 37, wave 38, at that point you should have your Uma maxed stats wise, and you want to get all your other units on auto upgrade. And at this point you want to be going into your Luffy mode. If your Uma is going to be maxed at wave 38, you should go into your Uma mode now, I mean your Luffy mode right now. And what I'm doing is setting him to bosses and of course going into Sun God's transformation. And what we're going to be doing here is building our meter, because we do need 300% meter, and the reason for that is because we're going to apply Rupture to all the enemies around him, and also use his double E nuke to of course get some more damage. And what I'm doing here is just clearing any leaks and just using all the abilities you'll see. So anytime you get the Chomp attack back, the E ability, you just use it on a lot of enemies. So yeah, here I'm just attacking. I should not be attacking at this point, M1's wise, because as you can see, it is applying Nullify to a few of these guys, which is not really ideal. You don't want to be applying nullify at all. So yeah, here what I'm going to be waiting for is, you can see I'm holding shift. I'm going to be holding shift to again enhance attack. And when the boss reaches like a certain point, you'll see I use E ability and it applies rupture to all of these guys. So you can see rupture gets applied to all of these guys. I use shift T onto the boss, and then I use double E to get some damage. And then here I was meant to use both the nukes, but I accidentally switched to Cog 4. So yeah, you go back to Cog 5, use both the nukes, and then get a Stolfer up, use the spear on the boss, and then you give the spellbook to our Finon, and make sure every other unit is auto upgraded. So your Sanjaru should be maxed, all your units should be maxed. You go back into Luffy form, and you just attack the boss to oblivion, you know, you just keep attacking him non-stop. Using all your attacks, all your abilities. And if he's roughly at like the same HP as my one, at this point, he should just guarantee die. So you still have like 1 or 2 final nukes, I think one more. And of course the amount of damage you're doing from these attacks is a lot. And you can see the boss just dies. And from here, what you're going to be doing is just dealing with these enemies. What I do at this point is just get 300% meter, since I already have a 100% meter. And once I get 300% meter, I just use double Q to of course deal with the enemies. So I used the double Q ability, and ideally at this point I should have stayed in Luffy form, because you can see that these apostles are causing me a lot of trouble. And these are the ones that are gonna mess up your run a lot. You wanna make sure you're focusing apostles. So I would say go into your Luffy form and just attack as many apostles as possible. Since these guys are the ones who, they have I forgot what it's called. Oh, I forgot the mechanic. Uh, it's the mechanic where they spread the damage to enemies around them. I forgot what it's called. LARPing low key, but yeah, you know what I'm talking about. So it spreads the damage to enemies around them, so it means they're taking less damage and they're just a lot more tanky. So that's the reason why apostles are the ones that are living, and they are the most frustrating to deal with. You can see. So I'd say go into your Luffy form at this point. I'll wait 48 at minimum, and yeah, just get a few kills on them. And when wave 49 hits, you want to be using your Ouroboros ability, so rewrite to wave 46. You can do it as early as you want, as long as you hit wave 49. You do wave 46, you rewrite the wave to wave 46. And yeah, from here, you can see these guys at the front. This is the reason why you need to be in your Luffy form, because these guys at the front are not going to die. And they are the reason that your whole run gets messed up. Well, it's not these guys, it's the ones behind. So you can see these guys die. There's 2 that are going to hit base, and the ones behind are going to be causing issues. And yeah, since Final does exist, he saves us pretty much. So as soon as these guys hit base, it repulses them for like 10 seconds, I'm pretty sure. So you can see they get pushed back for 10 seconds. And ideally you want that to get activated a lot later, because of course, if it's like activated a lot later, you can push the boss back as well. And pretty much do a later wave. Instead of going to wave 46, you could go to wave 47. But that's kind of unrealistic, because as you can see, the enemies are just so strong. And what I'm doing at this point, I'm using my spear to hit as many apostles as possible, because these are the ones that cause us a lot of issues. And then whenever I can, I use my spellbook back, of course, on my Finon. But you can see these apostles are going to be causing me so much trouble. They're like the main issue. So I'll say stay focused, and at this point, get prepared to use your Iron's nuke. And as soon as you see these guys hit the last, like get near the last Sanjaru, you want to use your Iron's nuke just to be sure. I used it kind of late, as you can see here. And then Fanon came in and saved my day. So yeah, I could have used it slightly later, but as you can see, it's a must use, because these enemies are so frustrating. And what I'm doing at this point is just getting into Luffy form, stacking up as much meter as possible, and dealing with these apostles. You can see these are the guys I'm targeting. They have 500 million HP, so I'm going to be doing as much damage as I can to these guys. And building meter, of course, as well. You want to get up to 300% meter so you can time your triple, was it, double Q nuke to hit the full map and get as much damage as possible. So ideally you want to be staying on these guys as much as possible, especially the stupid ass apostles. And yeah, you can see how troublesome these guys are. Legit 600 million on this one is so stupid. But yeah, these guys over here forced me to, of course, use my nuke. The boss behind was close by. So I'd say turn off auto skip waves at this point and just use your nuke. And that's pretty much it for the run. If you enjoyed the video, like, subscribe, and yeah, I'll see you in the next one. Peace.